This is the mother of podcasts, embracing modern womanhood, motherhood, and parenting, raw and unfiltered. Enjoy!
Today, we're joined by a friend, a fellow mother, a digital content creator, and somebody who's recently bared the brunt of juggling between a corporate job and tending to a little baby. We have Shubhanjali with us. Or do you prefer us calling you Shubha?
Yeah, I think Shubha would be good to go.
All right. So we have
Yeah.
Shubha with us, and she's a fellow mother to a very cute little baby. We're going to dive into this conversation now. Before we get into like the theme of this conversation is largely about the maternity benefits that are given in India, and we'll talk about the overall support system that is created around a mother after she gives birth. But before we jump into that, Shubha, tell us how has motherhood been for you in like just pour your heart out.
Yeah. So hi everyone. As Soumya said, you can call me Shubha, and mostly you all know me also. I think our previous schoolmates or all our common friends, they must be knowing me by the name. So yeah, as Soumya said, I have been a new mom. Last year I gave birth to a cute little boy. His name is Athar. So, like everyone, every woman dreams of motherhood, the feeling, you know, about motherhood that something very beautiful, a blend of some magic, and obviously with challenges all at once. Something of that only happened with me. So, when I first realized I was pregnant, it was an emotional roller coaster. There was so much joy, but also a sense of fear and uncertainty. How would I handle everything? The most overwhelming part came when I first missed my period, as from where everything starts. I found myself at the clinic alone, taking that initial test, and in that moment, I felt this huge wave of emotions. I was physically alone at that time because my husband was away. He was not there around due to work calls. And though I was at my mom's place, there was this deep yearning for him to be there with me. It was a strange mix of emotions, excited yet so vulnerable. I think that's when it really hit me that motherhood wasn't just a physical transition, but an emotional one as well. But from that moment on, it was like we were, like me and my husband, we were together in it. My husband was there with me every step of the way, supporting me emotionally and physically. And honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better partner through all of this. One of the most surprising aspects of my pregnancy was how my body reacted. Everyone talks about the typical symptoms like nausea, vomiting, the usual discomforts, but every pregnancy is so different. And I quickly realized this that my body was going to have its own journey. So I have had sinus issues for years, and I was really worried about because I had medications I'd been on, and I was worried that how it is going to affect my pregnancy. But to my surprise, something amazing happened. My sinus problems actually disappeared due to hormonal, I believe, due to hormonal changes during my pregnancy. And I can even eat ice cream now without any trouble. So it felt like a small miracle to me, something that I never expected. And then there was the moment I will never forget, the first trimester scan. Seeing the baby for the first time, watching that little heartbeat, seeing the tiny hands and feet forming on the screen, I was overwhelmed with emotions. I remember tears streaming down my face, and my gynae was rubbing that device on my stomach. And in that moment, I wasn't alone. My husband was there, holding my hand, sharing in that deep, overwhelming joy. It's hard to describe the feeling, but I think it's that moment when you see your child for the first time that truly solidifies everything. It made all the uncertainty, the fears, the changes feel also worth it. So I think that's that was about my first trimester, how it
Yeah,
all began, what
yeah.
feelings I had.
This
Yeah.
this first scan thing, Chanda, isn't it like, is it the story of every woman ever? Like,
Yeah, so everyone has a different experience with the first scan because
yeah.
there's so many emotions that you go through when you have your first scan. It's really
My
beautiful.
first scan was not my first scan for the baby. My first scan was my first scan for PCOS when I found out
Oh,
my baby.
oh my God.
Yeah, so she had a
I went
surprise pregnancy.
Oh my
I
God.
went for a checkup of PCOD and I had not had my periods for about 2.5 months, Shubha. And I went for the checkup. Doctor said, okay, fine, let's go check. Like, let's do a ultrasound. Let's check how thick the lining is. And according to that, we'll give you like your pill, which will help
Yeah.
you menstruate. They went in. Uh, she got the ultrasound and then she's like, I was suspecting this. What were you suspecting? I thought, oh, what? What is it? Do I have cancer? Do I have tumor? What is it?
God.
I was suspecting this. Like, what is it? Like, use words, doc, use words. She's like, here's your baby. And there he was, sucking his thumb, little baby, 11 weeks old. And I remember I had hands on my head, like, oh, and the only thing I could say was, oh God, oh God, oh God. And the doctor they took away my hand from my head. I said, don't react like that. That's not how you're supposed to react when you hear this. I'm very happy. I'm just extremely shocked.
Yes.
So yeah, the first thing, like first time you see the baby is ऐसे ही इतना overwhelming होता है. मेरे साथ तो अलग ही level पे overwhelming हो गया था. You had a job and you went into like a proper maternity break when you got pregnant, like 6 months proper break, and then you came back and you joined, right? So what happened with me was I left my job 4 months into pregnancy because I have to move. I had to move to UK. All right, and I had plans of joining here and stuff and all that. So that's all my story. Leave that.
Yeah.
But you had a job. You went into maternity, 6 months of leave, and then you went back
Yeah.
and joined. Tell us what was that like? We are not going to tell. We are not going to name your company for sure. Don't name your company, but
Yeah.
do tell about how was the entire process like. Tell us what was there on the face. How did you actually feel about the entire process of going into a maternity leave, right from where you told your office or your boss that you were pregnant to going to the leave to coming back? How things happened? Take us through that.
Yeah, sure. So yeah. So I always knew deep down that I wanted to be a hands-on mom. But I never really planned on leaving my job so soon after maternity leave. The decision to step away wasn't easy. It wasn't something I had imagined for myself, but it came from a place of deep conflict. On one hand, I had my career, my aspirations, the independence I had worked so hard for, and on the other hand, I had this growing need to be there for my child. I found myself torn between the two, waiting, wanting to continue my professional journey, but also realizing that my child needed me perhaps more than I realized. I had my 7 years career off into instructional designing, and in today's time, I believe, and what actually the reality is that experience matters. So, taking the decision, having a good 7 years experience into my core industry, it was very hard for me to leave my job. So the job that I left recently, I was into that company for 5 months, and I communicated it to my manager that yeah, I'm pregnant, and from this date onwards, I would like to take maternity leave. So initially they were okay. They were like, okay, why didn't you tell it earlier, or
Okay.
maybe at the time of joining, that you were having such and such thing. So I was like, because it was not asked, and it's not the thing that I should tell in the interviews that, oh, I'm pregnant. It's about the skills, the skill set that I have. I'm applying to a company for work, and not to obviously communicate that, listen, I'm pregnant, so would you give me a job or not.
Hmm.
So, so the sadness was overwhelming. There was this sense of loss, like I was giving up something very important to me. That feeling of independence, of being my own person, started to fade away when I was getting into this conflict whether I should leave or I should stick into my job, but then deep inside I'm also confused somewhere. What am I doing? So it's hard to explain, but it's like a part of you is moving into a new chapter of life, but you don't quite know if you're ready for it. But that's the thing about motherhood. It asks you to make sacrifices. And as tough as it was, I had to come to terms with the fact that my child's emotional needs were just as important as my own ambitions. I had to be wise enough not to regret the decision. I had to remind myself that I was doing this for the right reasons, and that's
I need a
when
pause
things
here. I need a pause.
started. Yeah,
What you said here was that your child's emotional needs is as important as your ambition. I need I need us to reach a point where this is thought not by just the mother, but by the entire environment around you.
yes,
And by the entire environment around a mother. All right. Because a child is not just a child for a mother, a child is a child for the humanity, honestly.
absolutely.
Okay. So the
How
emotional and
long?
mental well being
I want to know
of a
how
child.
long, like how long did you work after you joined after your maternity leave? How long was the working period, like before you decided to quit?
Yeah. So, I had the 6 months of maternity leave as per the government rules in India, 26 weeks of pregnancy. However, I had this benefit where I was able to extend my maternity leave for 1 more month.
Okay.
My manager was good enough at that point that he allowed me to do. So that benefit I had. After that, I joined. Um, so during my maternity leave, I was incredibly fortunate to have both my mother and mother-in-law by my side. There was a huge support system, both emotionally and physically. However, post maternity leave, things shifted. We had to move back to our work location, which is Pune, and due to some constraints, family was not able to travel with us. So, as I transitioned back into my routine, it became a more intimate dynamic, just me, my husband, and our child. So my husband was only became my primary source of support with me, and together we managed the balancing act of work, home life, and caring for our little one.
And also your husband did his MBA while your baby was, I think he was in second year of his MBA when your baby was born.
Yes. So it was like, suppose tomorrow was supposed to be my delivery date, and today he was giving his exams, the final exams, quarterly exams that they used to have. So my mother and his mother, they traveled to us. So luckily, I had that support system. But yeah, it was very tough. And then during the 6 months maternity leave, I went to my mother's place, like few months with my mother and few months with my mother-in-law, because my husband was back here in Pune. His 6 months, the last semester was left, the exams and the studies. So it was like a kind of emotional trauma in two ways, obviously, because after, post maternity, not post maternity, but postpartum, you already are juggling. You are just having some another world of emotions inside you. And then you're not able to even, be with your husband physically, hold your hands, or, sit together or cry on the shoulders. So yeah, there were days that I really used to have, very short tempered. I used to cry without reason. That, it's not that I was regretting my pregnancy, but I was like that, why am I here alone? Even though I knew that my husband is not able to be here because he also had some very strong, valid reasons. But sometimes, things go beyond logics. So,
True,
yeah,
I have had the first 5 months of my postpartum without my husband. So I get you. I know. He was here in UK. I was in Allahabad, and it was, oh my God, I think that was one of the toughest things I've done in my life.
yes.
Even more with the C-section. It was much more
Because
difficult than all of that.
yeah, and it's not that you are alone. The family is there. Your mother, your father, your siblings, everyone is there to support you. But that husband support, that father child the father to the child when he is not there around, you feel like that it's that you left alone. You like the decision of getting pregnant, you both took together, but now you feel that you are just left alone in that thing.
But I think,
So
even though our husbands don't say it out loud, I think they also go through some kind of postpartum. I don't know. I feel it because, you know, uh, we feel baby's movement inside, and we have those hormones going up and down. Somewhere our body is preparing us to be a mother. But for them, it's just like, okay, your wife is pregnant, you guys are pregnant, and then delivery के बाद बच्चा हाथ में आ गया. So I think there's some, they're lost for a few days. That's what I feel.
yes,
That's
yeah,
what I've seen with
actually,
my husband. Yeah.
in
So
fact, I would also say that thankfully me and my husband, we have a good tuning. It's not like that. But after the postpartum, when I came back home from the hospital, uh, it does the what the situation is that the mother is left in a separate room with the child, obviously because of the safety concerns with the child and all. But something happened, that at that time, during that duration, the bond of my and my husband also drifted little from what it was previously. So I was getting confused that something wrong has happened. What has happened, that why things are
guys,
not seeming as I had imagined in my mind.
yeah, you feel a little disconnected after you deliver your
Little
child.
is an understatement, I guess, because um, सो मुझे एक चीज ये भी लगती है कि ये थोड़ा अनरियलिस्टिक भी है ऑन आवर पार्ट टू थिंक दैट वील बी ऑन द सेम पेज एज आवर हस्बैंड्स बिकॉज यार एक तो पहले आप दो डिफरेंट बीइंग्स हो, जस्ट दो डिफरेंट बीइंग्स नहीं हो, दो डिफरेंट जेंडर्स हो, और एक जेंडर एक बहुत ही लाइफ चेंजिंग ट्रांजिशन से गुजरा है जिसको दूसरे को फिजिकली तो उसका अंदाजा ही नहीं है. दे कैन जस्ट लाइक थिंक, इमेजिन, एम्पथाइज मैक्सिमम. वो भी एम्पथी इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू कम. इट्स नॉट लाइक अ वेरी इजी थिंग. इट्स नॉट लाइक कॉमन सेंस. ओके, सो मुझे लगता है थोड़ा सा डिस्काउंट कर देना चाहिए हस्बैंड्स को भी आफ्टर पोस्टमार्टम. इट्स ओके, they are also going through their own thing. And believing, I figured this out, that believing that your husband loves you, is there and will be there through thick and thin, in that very period of time when you're feeling like things are shaking, and have that faith that okay, this is supposed to happen. This phase is supposed to happen. This is supposed to get shaky. The boat is supposed to get shaky right after postpartum, and things will be all right a little bit further. I think that can help people sail through that. एक महीने का जो वो 40 दिन का पीरियड होता है कि he loves me, he loves me, he had a baby
Yes.
with me. Okay, it's okay. Believe that he loves me, and then just go on
I
with it.
it's very hard to understand, but I think it's what most of the new mothers need to keep in their mind. I know it's really hard. So we'll come back to Shubha, and I really want to understand the work culture that was there when
Yeah.
you joined back. How are
Yes.
things in your office? How is the organization and your team members? How were they like treating you? Were they were they understanding of the fact that you have a baby to take care of? And what were the decisions that led you to quit your job?
And you can tell us, like, you can tell us the undercurrents, you can tell us कि क्या था, because we know कि कितना बातों में होता है, कितना पेपर पे पॉलिसी में होता है, और कितना
Yes.
एक्चुअल में होता है, ठीक है, इम्प्लीमेंटेशन में.
Yeah.
So tell us what you actually went through.
Yeah. So honestly, the maternity benefits I received were somewhat typical for an Indian middle class working woman. Better than nothing, but not as comprehensive as I hoped. The 26 weeks of maternity leaves were a huge relief, and I was grateful for that time to bond with my baby. And as I said, I was able to extend my leave for another month, which was a blessing because I wasn't ready to go back so soon. That extra time allowed me to adjust to life as a new mom. However, real challenges started once that leave ended, and after that, it was a bit of a juggling act. So, looking at maternity benefits I received, there were some positives but there were some challenges as well. Uh, The leaves, the mat leaves were definitely no doubt the biggest help, and it gave me time. After I joined back, I had this option of a 6 hour shift as per the company's policy. So normally it's like an 8 or 9 hour, I think 9 hour shift. But for 3 months after I joined back, they gave me this option of doing a 6 hour shift, which on paper seemed like a good solution.
Yeah.
But in reality, it wasn't as flexible as I had hoped. The work from home arrangement was also in place as I was in a work from home persona, but it wasn't as smooth as it seemed. I still had to travel to the office once or twice, generally twice a month for the meetings. And while that might not sound like a big task, but it was incredibly challenging because my baby was only about 7 months old, and it was that time of the baby's growing up period when they just want to cling to their mom. They don't want to even go to the father or to anyone else, to the grandparents. So, and leaving him even for a few hours, it felt like a huge emotional hurdle. The corporate benefits I had didn't really address the emotional and logistical challenges of being a new mom. I had some flexibility, but it still felt like I was trying to balance two full-time jobs, one at home and one at work. And honestly, the mental load was managing both was never really acknowledged or supported by my workplace. The workload wasn't reduced. It was just to say that I am doing a 6 hour shift, but the work that was given to me was something around 10 to 12 hours, which was not being even acknowledged that I am doing a 10 to 12 hours shift, because it was so to say, we have the client, you have to deliver. We cannot say the client that you have come back from a maternity leave and you are doing a 6 hour shift. So they were just good to see or say things on paper, but not in reality.
And
The
how
whole
long did
experience
you?
left.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, sorry. Go ahead.
So the whole experience left me feeling like I was caught in a constant tug of war between my role as a mother and my role as an employee. So I think I still worked 4 months after joining back, and then I finally took this decision that I cannot continue like this anymore, where I am working like around 3 o'clock in the midnight, and then wake up again 8 in the morning, and then continue everything. It was really kind of becoming depressing at some stage for me.
So yeah, that's really not good to hear. And I hope one day there are policies at workplaces and organizations where mothers are treated just like human beings who need to be there for their kids, and they can. Okay, balancing both things in the beginning is very difficult. I understand that. And I hope there are policies in the future where organization consider mothers uh, as a vet.
As an important part of human beings who will give you like more employees in the future. Hello. बच्चे नहीं पैदा होंगे तो काम कौन करेगा तुम्हारे लिए? I mean,
They
seriously,
don't
it's
listen to such things actually, whatever you say, they just have one thing. You are working, we have the client, you have to deliver. We can't tell the client that
तो
Shubha is on
तो ये
maternity
देखो
or
शुभा,
she
ये दिस इज
that.
ये हम लोगों ने अपने ऊपर ही हमने खुद डाला। काम
Yeah.
करने जाते थे आदमी मर्द, ठीक है, जिनको बच्चे पैदा करने से कोई मतलब नहीं था। हम बैठते थे घर में, बैठते क्या थे, बहुत कुछ करते थे, बट we decided that we are going to wear pants and go to office. Okay.
Yes.
And then we also decided कि नहीं भाई, अब यूट्रस है तो this innate need of birthing a child is also very strong and high. तो हुआ क्या कि वो भी करना है और अब ये भी करना है, तो ये वी हैव
Yeah.
टेकन दिस अपॉन आवरसेल्फ। वो क्लाइंट तो सही बात कह रहे हैं, वो क्लाइंट थोड़ी सुनेगा ये बात कि हम मैटरनिटी बेनिफिट हमें चाहिए। तो वी
But
टुक दिस
what
अपॉन
needs
आवरसेल्फ।
to be, yeah, but Swami, what needs to be in place is they need to understand, like for the male employees, they are not having this kind of two-way responsibilities. But if the women, the females, if we are having, then we should have some flexibility also in place, some leniency as compared to what they are delivering from the men's end.
तो वही है ना,
Exactly.
to reach that place where organizations make policies keeping in mind the parents or the mother, even the fathers who are unable to
Yeah.
attend a very छोटा सा function of their kid क्योंकि बहुत important meeting है. So by having this conversation, we want to reach to those organizations where they at least start talking about making the policies that are, good for both parents.
Family friendly, which are family friendly. But abhi, the other day we were having a conversation with, I think, Akanksha, where she also said that there were companies who refrained from hiring her knowing that she's a mother. सो भाई ये जो पूरा आइडिया है कि हम मदर्स को हायर नहीं करेंगे, या फिर जो एस्पायर कर रहे हैं फैमिली बनाने का उनको हम हायर नहीं करेंगे, या प्रेग्नेंट है तो मतलब होने जा रहे हैं तो यू लाइक डिवैल्यू देम और व्हाटएवर. क्या है ना कि द कॉर्पोरेट world, the capitalistic world wants you to be single. Okay, because when you're single, you're most productive. Honestly, they want you to be single. They want to hire single people who can give their entire life and boast about it. Okay, boast about the fact that they are giving 18 hours to a 10-hour job. Okay, so
Yes.
yeah, so they want you to be single. The world, the capitalistic corporate world is not meant for families. It is not meant for mothers, for people who want to have like a balanced life. So the question is, should we really give our life for them? Should we? My baby says no. So so yeah, that's the thing. Shubha, what else? Like और क्या हुआ in that
Yeah.
process of leaving that job? What else happened? Did you try to like make it work, and did you tell your boss
Yeah.
that you were trying to make it work? Like, did any help come then, that you are did you tell them that you're struggling or you're trying to make it work? Did any help, any support come then?
Yeah. So initially, my workplace was quite supportive. They congratulated me, assured me that I could take time off whenever necessary, which was encouraging at first. But as time went on and I was preparing to return to work, I realized that the institutional support wasn't as strong as I had hoped. After the leaves end, I found myself fighting for basic things like taking adequate breaks during the day, where my baby needs me. I need to give some time to my baby to feed him or take some break for myself. The flexibility I had been promised wasn't really there, and instead, there was a lot of micromanagement. Things like login times were closely monitored, and I felt like there was no space for personal flexibility. It was clear that my workplace didn't truly understand the emotional and physical demands of a new mother, especially, and there was very little effort to make things easier for me. In fact, when I considered leaving my job temporarily to focus on motherhood, because at first I went to my line manager and I told her that look, I am now struggling very hard with my personal and work front. So is it possible that I can take a temporary break, like as they say, the sabbatical break,
Yeah,
where it's okay if you would not pay me also, but you can just give me a break of 3 or 4 months where my baby is about to, I can do some strong bonding with him, or I'm able to comfort him, so that when I join back, it would be easy for me to focus on the work, and my baby would also be by the time uh, at the stage that he can be around and not need to cling me or be with me, like
yeah,
at so like in that ways. So I went to my line manager and told her so and so. So she was very supportive in words that, yeah, it's okay, I understand. But then she was like that, as per the corporate rules, we need to talk to the HR. So I was like, okay, we can do that. So what happened is that then they took it to the HR, because I found this to be a very reasonable solution, a way to step back without having to, resign completely.
yeah,
So the response that I received from the HR was quite strange and dismissive. The HR manager, he was a man who himself was a father of two daughters, told me, "Do you really think things will change in a few months? I'm a father of two and things never change. It only gets more difficult. Better to resign and take a break as you want. but we cannot offer you an official unpaid leave. That's the response that I received from my HR. So it honestly felt like they were telling me to leave my job, take a break, and just enjoy motherhood. There was no way to strike a balance between my career and my role as a mother. It was like incredibly disheartening to hear that response, and especially after I had hoped for some understanding and flexibility. And in fact, from a company where they say that it's a very women-centric company, I would not take the name, but they say that the company that I was in is a very women-centric company, and they support, mothers and women.
They're all for
So
women
from there,
empowerment.
yes, that's what I
8 मार्च
received.
को क्या दिया था? 8 मार्च को गिफ्ट में क्या मिला था?
Nothing. I was on maternity leave.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, you took the hard decision of leaving your career, like putting a break on your career and being there for your baby. And
Yes, because as I said, I really didn't want to. I really loved, the feeling that you are an independent working woman, a mother. I was really not ready, and that's why I gave them this option if they can give me a sabbatical leave. But when I found that there is no way, that I can balance the things in my way, I ultimately had to take this, this hard decision where it was not very welcoming to me, but that's the only solution that I was left with.
You know. So, like, if you had to look back and say that, okay, these were like one or two things that I wish I would have known before, you know, I had my baby or before I joined my work, what would it be? Like something that you have pearls of wisdom that you can give to new mothers who are like waiting to join the corporate world after their maternity leave. What should they expect in terms of, mental challenges, physical challenges? What should they prepare for, if they have like a, supportive workplace? What are the like natural challenges that they should expect to come their way?
Challenges, I would say, or rather, we can say that, things that corporate world can do, to support working mothers is like, having some flexible working hours or breaks to adjust to the new routine that do not come so easy. Options like, they give 6 hour work shift that are only as good as on paper. They should be also, applied uh, appropriately in the support of the mothers, the new mothers. The pressures of the work should be adjusted and not be, on this note that because it's a client need you have to do. Obviously, it's a client need. We all are working. There's no doubt in that. But because we are talking about the working mothers, the new mothers, so if we are thinking about them, the pressure of work should decrease, and the mental load of balancing motherhood and demanding career should be acknowledged by the HRs, by the company. So another major gap that I found was the emotional challenges, understanding about the emotional challenges. I found myself fighting for simple things like taking breaks or to even nurse, as I said, to my baby. That for the new moms in workplace, things like, reduce work pressure, more flexible working arrangement, reduce working hours, or like shifts, like options like 6 hour work shifts. They should be in a proper managed way and not only as good as on papers, so that it can be of real help to the new moms who really wish to work and, support the family. They can do both in a more balanced way, and not like me that, after a struggling period, not by choice, but you have to, finally quit because you don't find any help from the organization. So I believe these are some things that organizations can do in support of the new moms.
so we
And what
really
should new moms to what should new moms do to support themselves? Like we like,
Yes.
to just drop some pearls of wisdom to, aspiring women who want to become mothers or just new mothers. Take like one advice for each, like somebody who's wanting to become a mother in this era in 2024, what would your advice be for them, or like just a friendly elderly sister advice to,
Yeah.
क्या क्या
Yeah.
क्या एक्सपेक्ट करना
I think
चाहिए.
the first foremost thing I would say is be happy, which people do not be these days that I have seen. When you take the decision of becoming a mother during the journey and postpartum, people are mostly women, the girls I have seen around, they are like mostly, I have got my career to first build. I want to do this, I want to do that, I would later see the pregnancy. I don't want to, I would rather pet a dog. It's good, I'm not against that petting thing, but I think having your own child is a totally different. Why are you laughing somewhere?
Channa, Channa knows this. So I really I make fun of people who call themselves dog parents. I'm
Okay, okay.
like,
And I'll tell you, she's guilty of being one. So, Soumya, you
Okay.
cannot say anything. She loves pets, and
I love pets, okay? I love pets, but don't call yourself a dog parent. It's really offensive to actual human being parents.
there are plant
Because
parents
Right.
also.
you call
Sorry,
yourself a
sorry to
dog
plant
anything,
parents as
call
well, but
yourself a pet lover. Yeah, yeah. I mean, dogs and pets have been petted and kept for years and years, but none of our ancestors chose to call themselves dog parents and pet parents. It's
Yeah.
us who decide not to have children, and then वो जो नीड है ना बापता और ममता अपने अंदर जो है हमारी,
Right.
उसको किसी चीज पे तो निकालनी है. तो हमारी बापता ममता हम, मैं काउच पेरेंट हूँ, मैं लैपटॉप हूँ, मैं कुकर पेरेंट हूँ भाई. ये चीजें करेंगे फिर, है ना. कुछ भी रख लिया उसके पेरेंट थोड़ी बन जाओगे.
okay, so that ठीक है,
पैदा
Soumya,
करना
let's
पड़ता
not offend so many people.
है. I said in the beginning, I don't fear offending people. This is not about offense. I am taking offense if a person who has a pet who is a dog is calling themselves a parent, because they did not go through they did not bear the child to be called a parent. I am offended, honestly. I am not offending anyone here. So yeah, please go ahead. I'm sorry. मेरी ऐसे दुखती रग पे हाथ रख दिया था तुमने शुभा.
It's okay. So yeah, what I want to say is just be confident of your decision when you want to become a parent and be stuck to it. That you are taking this decision by choice. And it might be that sometimes some pregnancies come unplanned. But you go forward with that, then you are doing it by choice. So be confident, be happy about it, and just don't be overwhelmed. It's okay to be overwhelmed, but just don't take too hard on yourself. It's okay to struggle, it's okay to ask for help. And that's all that I am saying is from my experience. Mother is a huge transition, no one has it all figured out. So it's okay to take time for yourself when you can, and not be guilty about taking breaks or asking for some support. Just trust your instincts. You are your child's best advocate. No one knows your needs better than you do. Even when somebody comes and tells you that why are you not able to breastfeed your child, why are you not having enough breast milk, or why are you not letting your child just sometimes, like our grandparents, they say things like uh, नजर उतार दो या कुछ हो गया है, शाम को कुछ हो जाता है. Just don't go by all those granny things, because they say trust your instinct because it's your child. Might be that the child is crying because the child just wants to go out, the change of environment, and it's not that the child is having some nazar, or he's having some fever, or he's having some stomach ache. That's why, because I have eaten something wrong. So I just want to say be happy and be confident of your decision that you want to be a mother, and don't let anyone make you feel guilty or wrong of your decision at any point, be
Get it.
it during the
So basically,
pregnancy or
trust your
postpartum.
guts, trust your intuition, is what you're saying.
So
Yes.
before we say bye our goodbyes today, I want to know, Shubha, what are you a full-time mother now, or are you also doing something uh, to meet the creative need that you have? Because we were raised.
Did
Yeah.
I tell you Shubha's also a digital content creator? She's got quite a lot of followers.
I think you mentioned it in the beginning,
Yeah.
and I want to know it from Shubha. How is it? How is it panning out for her? Just quickly before we say
Yeah,
our
sure.
byes.
Yeah. So yeah, apart from being a full-time mother, as Soumya said, I have been doing content creation for like 2 years. Not a very good reach, yeah, but still I do something, and I am trying, if I can do something great that I might go viral some days. But obviously, I continue with my content creation part, apart from being a mother.
So, what is your niche? What do you mostly talk about, or what is the field that you are like? What is your audience type?
So yeah, my niche is yes, my niche is mostly fashion and traveling. That's what I do because I love to travel. And me and my husband, we travel. And in fact, now our child, we three travel together, managing his needs wherever the milk and the diaper, needs that they have mostly. But yeah, I do continue traveling and vlogging side by side. So that's my niche, fashion and traveling.
Okay, so guys, you can find Shubha on Instagram and YouTube, I guess, and follow her for like fashion tips and travel ideas.
Join our community of amazing mothers. Follow us on social media for more. Bye for now.